Well, as I said, it's the highlight of the show this week, and we're joined by former England vice captain and World Cup winner Moeen Ali. Mo, thanks so much for your time. They say that for some players, the lucky ones, they wake up one morning and they realise that that's it, they've had enough, they can't do it anymore. But you obviously woke up one morning and thought, I can do another season, but only one more.
Yeah, I did. I know I did. But no, it was more because of family reasons. Like I'm looking to move away and stuff like that. So it's just makes it a lot easier to do that, really.
And you said you're moving away, but there's no 100 this year, Mo. You've decided that you're going to play for Warwickshire, do a bit of coaching, but
Yeah.
the 100's not on the agenda.
No, not this year. I think it was more because actually a few reasons. One, because I think the salary bands actually mess a lot of things up. Generally, to have your top players, because we've been doing quite well over the last few years, and we've struggled to keep the players. In the end, we managed to keep all the players, but for me also, I got an offer in to play CPL and in the Global Super League and stuff, and so I just took that up really and see what happens. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I just found it was easier for me to do that than to play at the 100.
And it must be hard though, Moeen, when you look at the crossovers of you've got, we'll come on to the format in a second, but the crossover of the 100 with, I mean, America last year clashed and you got the CPL. Yeah, how difficult is it for the guys now that English cricket hasn't got the money, not yet anyway, until this thing's sold. You have to earn, but it's also trying to find a nice sort of work-life balance to go with it. It must be very difficult for players now to choose which is the best, I would say, roadmap for their careers, having playing cricket and obviously time to relax and recover.
100%. Before I would know where I'm playing exactly. Like you can just you'd get a call within a month and say, would you like to play? And then you have offers. But now you kind of have to plan the whole full year. Mm-hmm. So I had to make that move before the 100, for example. Retentions were announced and stuff like that. So you don't have much time now. So you got to kind of plan your whole year, playing all these franchise leagues. And so I'm up to end of this year, and then I've still got to look at January, and my options are this X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. So it is difficult, and obviously we have the Blast and the 100. Blast is actually it's quite long. The fixed, like you play as soon as the season starts, and it finishes in September, so you can get in the way of playing other leagues and stuff. But I know the ECB have also cracked down on guys going to play, which I agree with. You kind of agree with, but when the Blast is so long, it makes it difficult.
Kind of agree with it. Yeah, we can't let that go. Which bits do you agree
like,
with?
Of course, you want your players to be playing county cricket and all the English leagues or the best English leagues and cricket, whatever it is. But when the Blast starts so early and then finishes late, it kind of can come in the way for only white ball players. For example, if you're not playing any red ball cricket, there's a gap between the 100, between the Blast and the 100, and that becomes a bit of an issue. That gap you could be playing somewhere, but if you make it to the quarterfinals or something, then you kind of miss it and stuff. So it's hard to plan with these being so long.
Mo, given the way you've looked after yourself, I always put you down as a player who keep going till you were 40, playing 20 over cricket. But then the new role as player coach with Warwickshire in the Blast, is that more of an indication of where you see your future?
Yeah, actually, I do love playing cricket, and I feel like, but you can't I don't know what it is, but you kind of lose that. I think when you start playing international cricket, you try and obviously before that, whenever I played domestic cricket, I used always to try and play for England. Still, either get back in form, get in the team, or just keep my form up while I'm playing. And then you kind of lose that. I think motivation where you think, oh, what is it to kind of play for now in terms of obviously England was the highest place to try and play and IPL and stuff. But so I've really struggled over the last 12 months with that. But I feel like, okay, now I've got to, what I've done is I've sat down, I thought, okay, exactly why I want to play, what I need to play for, and things like that, and then just go and crack on with it.
Yeah, I know you feel. I mean, right at the end of mine, I finished in 2009 with England, and I still had 4 years left on a contract with Durham. And I always said, on hindsight, looking back, that was the worst 4 years of my life because I didn't have that England to go at. I was getting paid, and I was a professional cricketer, but I was a professional cricketer possibly without a purpose. And I think that at that time, I think it was a little bit different. The IPL was only 1 year old. There was no franchise league, so that's what you have to go at. But you've still got a huge amount to go for, not only whatever the franchise leagues are. But you just changed now with you've gone from Chennai to Kolkata. You're now IPL is still. It's like international cricket because that one tournament in the franchise is different to anywhere else. Just explain what the difference is between playing the IPL and the rest of the franchise football.
I think there's a couple of things. So you have the standard of cricket is obviously very high in IPL. It's talked about so much and bigged up so much that when you're playing and if you're not playing so well or you're playing really well, for example, if you're not playing so well, you kind of you feel a little bit like you did for England. So when you're not playing, you're like motivated, you're embarrassed a little bit by not playing well, all these kind of things. So you have that motivation then to do well and to pick yourself up and stuff. Whereas when you're playing in leagues, for example, that are where there's not much crowd, no one's really talking about it so much, then you kind of, that's the hardest thing. And that's why I try and pick leagues or where the crowds are the best, because that actually gets you going. Like when I play in the CPL for Guyana, it's like playing in IPL. Honestly, it's unbelievable. I wouldn't say as good, but it's very loud. The home crowd is all over. They just love cricket. Everyone knows about it, rather than just be in your hotel or be out and no one really knows what's going on and stuff. And I find that really difficult. So it's quite nice to pick or be able to still play in leagues that have big crowds, and that motivation then is definitely there.
Mo, you mentioned England and how much it means to you. So let's just talk about the situation in the white ball game in both formats with England and Joss's resignation. I mean, winning one game in 11 this year. I would imagine that you're feeling the pain, but I would imagine also that there's a lot of talk about how much England are missing you and your left-handedness and your versatility. Your thoughts on the current situation?
I think, look, this has to have happened because obviously, end of the day, you want results, and I think it's the right thing just did to step down, and I think it's best for the team. I think it's best for him to get the best out of him. But I just think, I'm a bit gutted because I actually thought we had a really good team. Honestly, I just wanted our batters. If our batters scored the big runs, then I thought we had the pace in Wood, Archer. We have a world-class leg spinner. And I think that's the problem. I think that's where it ends, where you got them three as your bowlers, where if one's not bowling so well, then you're quite light on your bowling. And I think I don't think it was me that missed, but I just think they missed the left-handed, at least two left-handers in the team. And it just looked a little bit imbalanced. That's all. I genuinely think it was they're very, very good players, but it just looked a little bit imbalanced. Something didn't look right in the side. Either we were very light with the batting. I would love Livy to come in at 7, where there's 10 overs to go or 12 overs to go, not when there's 25 overs to go. And I thought actually we missed a big trick with Joss against Australia not coming in early. I think he could have come in when there was 20 overs to go, or I think 25 overs to go. And that's what Morgs used to do. And he's the kind of guy that can take a game away. And rather than get 350 or whatever, we could have ended up getting closer to 400.
And I agree with that. And I think I've been saying, because I know last Hussein said England missed Ben Stokes, and I've said England missed Moeen Ali because of that second spin option that come under pressure. I don't think we've handled pressure that well in this tournament and in previous tournaments when the heat's been on, especially when we're in the subcontinental conditions. Where are we getting that second spinner from, Moeen? Because I mean, two questions in one here. How long is your little mate going to go on for? Because he just seems to be getting better and better. And where is that second spin option? Who can obviously just balance the side out with an all-round quality?
Okay, having thought about this, like your second spinner, so even though my stats, for example, are not great in ODI cricket as a spinner, but I played a lot of Test cricket, so I was still bowling a lot, and I was bowling proper overs. I think, and sometimes in 50-over cricket, you don't get the wickets in the middle, but you're bowling tight or you're doing a job for the team, and that's when Plunkett and these guys would take up. What you can't have, and I think Livy's a fantastic cricketer, but it can't be part-time or too part-time, because it's got to be more of a frontline. Still has to be a frontline spinner. There was times when Rush didn't play in the ODIs and I played, or in T20s. But going back to Rush, we need him to carry on playing at least for a couple of years, because he's bowling so, like you say, he's getting better and better. He's bowling, I think now with more. He's always had the skill, but I think he uses his brain a lot more now, and he knows exactly when to use what of his skills, and he's a lot more confident without being arrogant about it. But definitely, we need that second spinner. Obviously, it has to be able to bat. His main thing has to be batting, but he also has to be a frontline spinner in some capacity, either in white ball or red ball cricket.
You mentioned about your little mate Rashid. I seen him out in India. He's still as cheeky as ever. Joss has gone, right? There's a lot of talk about Harry being the next captain. England, I've got it here. England have got 11 Test matches, 5 against India, 5 against Australia. They've got 27 bilateral white ball games in the next calendar year. I'm of the opinion that I wouldn't give it to Harry Brook at this point until the Ashes is finished. You've done the vice captaincy. Are we looking for a stopgap? Could Adil Rashid do it against the West Indies in the summer and possibly the South Africa to get us to the Ashes? And then, because I'm also of the opinion that when the Ashes is finished, we don't know what state Ben Stokes' body is in. And if Ben has a struggle, and from a body point of view, we might be looking for a captain in 3 formats. This is worst case scenario. I think the question is, who would you go with for the next captain? And would you appoint him now, or would you wait until a little bit further down the line and ask somebody like Adil Rashid just to stand in for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great option. I think people also don't realize that Adil has a very good cricket brain on him. He actually knows what he's doing, and he knows what he's talking about a lot of the time. Maybe his messaging is not great, but then you got Baz there, who's amazing at that anyway. So I think it's a great option. I really do. But I actually thought about this. Who would I give? I think you're right. I think with Brookie, maybe you're right after the Ashes. Or you could even give, because it's such a big gap now between the next ODI series, you could even give it to Stokesy, because I think he would take it in his stride very easily without any sort of, I don't think he'd feel the pressure, to be honest, of being captain of the white ball side. But I would potentially give it to Stokes and maybe just play as a batter, because he's obviously good enough to play as a batter in that side. So that was the only other thing I was thinking about. Or I think they will do what, they'll just give it to Brookie and say, but we're backing you till the next World Cup.
Yeah.
Mo, can I ask you let's move on to big picture stuff here. Yeah. Let's talk about global landscape. As somebody who's been at the coalface of the game for, well, a decade and a half, in your case, you've played through some of the biggest changes to the game at domestic and international level. So you can grab any subject you like. I'll give you a few starters. I mean, the team at the Champions Trophy have played fewer 50-over games, internationals, than any other country, because they don't play 50-over cricket. Harry Brooks played half a dozen, I think. And so, does England need a 50-over tournament at the beginning of the season, as a lot of people have suggested? And will franchise cricket continue to eat away at international cricket? You can pick any of these. I'm just interested in your 15 years of experience and your views about the future.
I think definitely the 50 overs has to be in our format, as much as the format has almost complete, apart from World Cups and Champions Trophies, it's completely died out almost. It's like, it is the worst format to play, and I think there's many reasons for that. I think the rules are terrible. Like, to have that extra fielder in after, I think it's a horrendous rule for taking wickets, building any sort of pressure. Guys are averaging 60, 70 in ODI cricket now because of that. Like, I remember when you're bowling at somebody and he's you put a little bit of pressure, it just reverse sweeps, and it's not a single, it's a 4, or it come down, and it's just there's always an option for them to, and then on top of that you have 2 new balls, so you move, you lose the reverse swing, you lose the art of trying to hit a softer ball, or everything's always in the middle and it's crisp and it's flying off your bat and stuff. And I think for those reasons, it makes the cricket's just died. In 50 over cricket has died. So that I think needs to be looked at massively. And what was your other point? There was 50 over.
Oh, franchise cricket.
And I think franchise cricket is sadly eating it all up. And the problem is the money that's out there and the money that's been thrown at there. It's so much that people just don't. You can't turn it down almost as players, especially when you're backing up your career. It's very difficult. There's probably guys who are probably going to retire in the next couple of years from international cricket earlier to play franchise cricket.
Yeah, I think that is a worrying and a frightening thing coming from somebody who's played, a huge amount of cricket, both domestically and internationally and globally. Obviously the bugbear of mine. I've got, Manners will tell you, and Manners will agree with me, I've got a big issue. I've always had a big issue with the format of the 100. And I think what's magnified in the recent past of English white ball cricket is that when you look at the IPL and you see England's T20 team go and play against basically India here, and the likes of Abhishek Sharma and Tilak Varma, Sanju Samson, Bishnau, they're played in that game. They're all a byproduct of the IPL.
Yeah.
We are playing a format that nobody really understands. And I can't think of in the years that the 100's been. So my issue is not it's played in August. My issue is not it's just this competition that nobody really seems to understand the playing and where are we producing our young players, because I can't think of anybody, and possibly Jacob Bethel, that's come out of the 100 that's improved our white ball game. How do we change that?
I totally agree, and I think there's few things. So I don't know if you notice in the 100, the ball just seems to swing a lot. It's seeming around. All the bowlers that do really well are test bowlers. So like we had Tim Southee. I know Milne's been doing well for a very long time, but guys who just bowl good areas and a bit slower, like almost test length, and it's almost impossible. Sometimes it was almost impossible to hit them, and that's because of the wickets. And if you look at the way India play in IPL, it's some flat wickets against the best bowlers. The guys go out and they can go and play. And I'm not saying it should be always flat wickets and it should always be 4s and 6s, but this is where they get their confidence from. So Jacob Bethel, actually prior to playing in the 100, was still doing really well, and I think he would have been then still knocking on the door of England. But we have this, so because we don't play 50 over cricket, the top players don't play in the country. So someone like Harry Brook, who's a top player, and he will be an England great player in my opinion, but at the minute when it comes to 50 overs, he's not sure what to do. So he's not sure if to go out like T20s or this test match and soak it up, etc. But even in test matches, he doesn't really soak a lot of it up. And I think it's a bit confusing for the players because they don't play 50. No one plays 50 over cricket in any way. So the best way would be to always emulate international cricket as much as you can. So the 100, I do agree. It's a great format in terms of the kids watching and people that don't know about cricket. It's much faster and it's a lot easier to understand, etc. But I think that is hindering our players a little bit because they're not. It's almost a bit of it becomes a little bit like a slugfest for the younger players, and they just think we have to be striking at 200. And people forget that even in T20 World Cups when we're playing, there's times where you have to soak it up. There's times where you have to knock the ball around, and you don't get that in the 100.
Well, sorry to come back to you, but Harmy, you may not know this, but Harmy's the president of the Moeen Ali Appreciation Society. So I wanted to ask about you, and I knew that your views on the game would be valuable. You've always been a leader by example, by influence, on the field, and I suppose off it, behind the scenes. But I wonder, not suggesting that you're going to do a Rob Key and take charge of the game, but are you prepared to to carry on to be a leader and to set an example in English cricket for the good of the game as you sort of head towards your 40s?
But I think definitely. I think maybe not always trying to be a leader, as in like, yeah, I've never been somebody that believes that you need a title to be a leader, or like be the face of something to be a leader. I've always believed that leaders can be there's like in a team environment, you got leaders who are a bit people don't know about and or don't understand or whatever. And I do definitely I want to get into coaching and start because I believe that I still have a nice balance of the old school sort of. I started very young county cricket, and I played with guys like Graham Hick for a good few years, and Vikram Solanki and Nick Knight, all this, and I played against a lot of older sort of county legends, and I believe that I had a good mix of that with the sort of modern way of playing and coaching or teaching, etc. So I do believe there's a lot of I can give back to players in England. When I say give back, I don't mean give back, but I mean to English cricket, where I feel there's a lot that I can help with, or just give my knowledge to the younger players and ways of talking to people, etc. And yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lot for me to. There's a big purpose for me in English cricket in some way.
I thought you were going to say when you played against some of the older ones. I thought you were going to mention my name there. So I remember playing against you a few times, and I mean that Worcester side was a good side that you first came into. The teams that you're going to go out of, you mentioned, the sides that you came into with the likes of Hickey and Vikram and people like that. But the sides that you're going to go out of, i.e., you said your roadmap's clear in the next sort of 12 months. What does that look like? You've got the IPL. What do you see in a year's time?
IPL, I'm doing a bit of coaching. So the best thing is more like a coach, and if they want me to play, I'll play, kind of thing. Because I'm only there until July, and then I'm going to play that CPL, and then there's either the Big Bash or ILT20 in January and stuff. And in between, my son's 11, and I'm trying to get him. I've got actually Keith Piper teaching him about keeping, and so yeah, he's doing well, and I want him to obviously. He just wants to be an England player, so that's my job. To get
as long as he's enjoying it. Actually, my ears pricked up there when you said the Big Bash. I would have been going anywhere other than Australia after the last time England played Australia, and you had to get a phone call and say, "Can you come out of retirement to play in that?" Are you worried that if you go to the Big Bash, Stokesy taps you on the shoulder, something happens, and you go, "Yep, come on, Mo, we need an off spinner."
No, he won't be tapping me up anymore. Just Stokesy. It's actually always been one of those tournaments where I just haven't been because it's so far away, and it's been very long. But I actually got a message this morning from somebody about playing next season, so I said I'm keen, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, but no, there's no way I'm playing. I don't know if you're the same, but you always feel, especially when you always feel like you can. If England knocked on your door and you're fit enough, you'd always go and play no matter what. No matter what. Like I always think maybe even if I was 40, if England ever phoned me and said, "Come and play," this is Legends Leagues now. I'm going to try and get into it though.
Yeah.
Play for England.
I tell you what, Matthew Hoggard. I mean, Huggy played and won a few years ago, and I looked at it and I thought, I can't do that. I really can't. City asked me, and they're in there at the minute. But you look at that side; it's not a bad England side. Morgs is playing, and people like you've got far too much to give at this moment in time from that.
Yeah,
and the same, if I could play and I was given the option, as much as you probably would say, "Come on, Stokes, you've not got anybody else," I'm sure you'll turn around and go, "What time do you want me there?"
Yeah, 100%. And I think guys who have played for England or put on the shirt, there's no greater feeling. And you only realize this maybe after. There's no greater feeling than putting that shirt on and going out there and playing. There's no better feeling than that.